This year I celebrate 25 years as a professional nonprofiteer. Let's take a quick look back at what all that has been. Technically, the tale goes back even earlier. I grew up in a nonprofit daycare. It was based in Pocatello, Idaho, and my mom operated TLC daycare there from 1982 to 2012. And so my very first job ever was pushing a broom on the TLC playground for about maybe 350 an hour. In 1999, I got my first professional job at the Foundation for Self-Sufficiency in Central America. It was a small nonprofit on the outskirts of an Austin suburb. It was run out of the side of the garage of a charismatic former priest from El Salvador. And the core programs were supporting local organizing in rural El Salvador, disaster prevention, and agriculture. Over time, the programs grew to include leadership development. Here I am, for example, with four community leaders, all of whom happen to just be named Maria. And youth development got added eventually, including a community radio station, and of course, restoration of forests and turtle recovery. Although I got to travel to El Salvador just once or twice a year, the core job was holding down operations in the United States. And because it was a small organization, I got to wear all the hats: bookkeeping, website creation and management, grants, lots of translation and interpretation to and from Spanish, publications, fundraising, and donor management software. I also learned firsthand the power of a strong back office. The year before I started, in 1998, Hurricane Mitch hit Central America, and the organization raised $200,000 in response. In 2001, just 6 months after I started working full time, the organization raised $1 million in response to two big earthquakes. And I wasn't doing much of the fundraising, but I created the infrastructure and back office functions so that the fundraising could thrive. And this is a prime example of why you'll often hear me say, behind every successful nonprofit, you'll find a strong back office. At the foundation, I'd made all sorts of friends around the country and internationally, but I felt very disconnected locally. So in 2008, I moved on to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin. It's a vibrant community with a bunch of nice, intelligent people and famous bagels, of course. And I was hired as the executive director, as a peer to the minister. And while I was there, we did a massive governance overhaul. And I got to learn about productive governance and family systems theory and the ability of a healthy board leadership to promote change and overcome challenges. I even got to play guitar there once or twice. In 2014, the itch had returned for international development work. So I became finance director at Ubuntu, an organization doing work in Kenya with programs including special needs children, HIV treatment and prevention, milk production, artisan textiles and jewelry for sale in the US, potable water, and even a cafe. And you may have even run into the organization's best known product, the Love Bracelet. It's handcrafted by female Maasai artisans using their traditional beadwork, and it's been featured in places such as Oprah and Shark Tank, and Glamour, and Good Morning in America. And the organization's products have been sold by retailers including American Eagle Outfitters, Whole Foods Market, and Walmart. The work gave me my first exposure to social entrepreneurship, which opened my mind to the whole idea that a business can be a real force for good in the world. 501c3s are good, but they're not the only way to do good. In 2015, the opportunity appeared to work at one of Central Texas's most prestigious nonprofits, Mission Capital. Mission Capital builds the capacity of other nonprofits through training, consulting, and a variety of other programs. I got to serve as a chief financial and operations officer. And my work there exposed me to lots of great nonprofit leaders, consulting techniques, and the power of data visualization, making the numbers really come to life with graphs like the one you see in front of you. In 2020, I started Sean Hill Consulting because I wanted to help more nonprofits move the needle. So many organizations fall short of their potential because they lack strong back offices, especially their financial function. And since then, we've grown to about a dozen CPAs and other nonprofit professionals from 5 different continents. And the team provided interim financial management, fractional CFO, and indirect cost rate calculations to nonprofits in Texas, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Maine, and Illinois in 2023. So just this past year, we got to work with more than 24 great organizations working on important issue areas, including domestic violence, youth homelessness, and education. Over the last 4 years, I also had a side project Philanthroforce, which is the world's largest directory of nonprofit consultants and the world's largest capacity builder for nonprofit consultants. I built it with my good friend Sean Ramsey, and in November 2023, it got merged into Consultants for Good, the world's largest community of nonprofit consultants, and we're thrilled to see it thriving under the Consultants for Good roof. So, the last 4 years have certainly been the best of my career, and I want to give a big thanks to my family and friends who supported me along the way, to the great professionals on the Sean Hill Consulting team, and to the nonprofits who trust us to help them with their finances. What will the next 25 years bring? I have no idea. What would you like to see? Tell us in the notes. Thank you very